and even in the States. According to the documents, Santos admitted that he and his agents made an estimated $120,000 or more in U.S. currency collectively, and that he would receive 5 to 6 grand
I
per...
have a correction there.
Oh.
The 6,000 is actually 7,000.
Okay. Would receive $5,000 to $7,000 per week. His termination was effective on New Year's Eve of last year. He has since filed an appeal with the Civil Service Commission. So that's why JQ had no comment yesterday, is because that was like, whoo, boy, that was a lot. So that's that. And then now we'll go over to the K-Web News Zoom room. And Chief, I know we're going to talk about drug seizures and all that, but it was just kind of logical with all this stuff happening at the airport. We know there's a large customs presence up there. Have any of anybody under your supervision been involved with this, Chief, or is this something that you guys are looking into at customs and quarantine?
Not that I know of.
When you heard that, though, were you like, hey, anybody have this online app or part of this gambling thing? You would think not.
I'm surprised in that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Chief Peredo couldn't even figure out the Zoom camera, so I don't think he's doing any online poker bros. Chief, good morning.
Good morning.
So you guys had an oversight hearing, first oversight hearing of the new year. You want to kind of unpack that and talk about some of the things that you said and were covered at that oversight hearing with the oversight chair, Senator Talina Nelson?
Yes, actually the oversight hearing was mainly focused down at the port, and based on that, it has to do with our operation and how we're doing with the inspection process down at the port.
Mm-hmm.
It's also focused on the utilization of our resources, such as the canine, and as it relates to the use of the canine down at the port.
Right. I think Senator.
In addition to that, there were we also. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In addition to that, they also focus on our budget and our staffing requirements for the agency as it relates to how the pandemic has really impacted our operation because of budget shortfalls.
So let's talk about some of these drug seizures, Chief. I know you had sent this over to us. We sent it over yesterday, and what do we have here? What type of seizures have we had? I mean, since this was kind of focusing on the port, let's say over the last 5 years, how much meth have you guys seized at the Port Authority in Guam?
Well, since I've been here for 2 years already, and we haven't had any seizures down at the port. And it's not that, I'm saying that it's not coming in, but we just don't have the tangible evidence to support that we're making seizures down at the port. We're doing our best with the resources that we have, and hopefully that we will continue to do our job down there and prevent and deter the movement of illicit drugs coming into our borders.
I'm sorry, did you say you guys have not been doing inspections, or there wasn't evidence to support you guys doing inspections? What did you say?
No, there's no evidence for us to show that we have intercepted methamphetamines down at the port at this time. Mm-hmm. But we continuously are doing our due diligence in continuing the inspection process with the resources that we have, and we will continue to do so to deter and detect illicit drugs coming in down at the port.
So with the resources that you have, how often do you guys do inspections?
Inspection is every day. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned during the oversight hearing, there's the inspection process that takes place down at the port, and the first part of that inspection process is the screening process. The screening process has to do with the advance manifest, in which the officers will screen the manifest, and the officer in charge of the port will determine the type of inspection to be conducted on that particular shipment that's coming in based on the manifest that is provided to customs. In addition to that, that's the screening process. in addition to that, we have our back scanner X-ray machine that will scan containers that are coming in daily, and also the number of physical inspection that needs to be completed during that particular day or week.
What about
And that's the process that we're going.
what about the use of like the drug sniffing dogs?
The canine is used down at the port upon request, because I've made it a point that I'm focusing on the priority of where that canine is being utilized at this time. Because of the number of canines that we only have 3 canines on board. So that means that we have 3 handlers. Of the 3 handlers, we have 2 members that are on the reserve component, either the Army Reserve or the Air National Guard or the Guard. And 2 of this, the 2 handlers, one was deployed in 2019 and just recently returned. The other one left again this year, and hopefully won't be back for another probably 8 months. And so that's the shortfall that we have with respect to utilization of the canine dogs down at the port. My focus right now,
Chief,
is that.
I'm sorry, just real quick. So you said
Yes.
that the canine unit is sent down to the port to do an inspection by request. Who has the authority to request it?
The port supervisor is the one that will make the schedule based on the arrival of a particular vessel that's coming in on that particular week.
So when was the last time that the canine unit was deployed down at the port?
Well, we just had we participated in a multi-agency strike force operation at the port between the Coast Guard, Guam Customs, and the port security, in which they conduct an operation down there for compliance of federal and state transportation of containers, to include detection of illicit drugs coming into the port.
When was that?
And so they were down at the port this week.
And what happened? Did you?
There's no report of any interception during this time, and that's about the only thing I can say on that.
Chief, you know, I interviewed you when you first came into the department, and I remember asking you about drugs coming into the port, and your answer was like, yes, they're coming into the port. So if we're not busting anything, is it just you guys can't find it, or really there's nothing coming in?
At the time, yes, I admitted that. And let me say this, that on any seaport around the world, the port is a hub for drug smugglers to move illicit drugs into our borders. But I'm not saying that it's happening at the port, because I don't have no tangible evidence of this time. And we're working on that. We're continuing our inspection. I'm collaborating with not only DEA, but also the other law enforcement agency insofar as information and intelligence as it relates to drug smuggling at the port. I have no information at this time to say that yes, this is happening, because I have no evidence to show.
Right. Chief, I wanted to go back to the canine dogs. So they only go out at the request of the port supervisor. You said the last time they were there was this week, when there was this multi-agency exercise or operation. What about prior to that?
Yes.
They have been...
Say again?
What about prior to that multi-agency operation this week? When was the last time these drug detector dogs were requested to go down to the port?
Well, normally the canines are requested whenever a vessel comes in, because we were focusing on vehicles that are coming in, and the canines will abide with the schedule that's provided with the by the port supervisor, to include the request by the X-ray team if the canines are needed.
What is the most effective way or most effective type of inspection to detect drugs? Is it the scanner or is it the dogs?
Well, right now, the most effective way I would say, from my perspective, is for the canine, especially at the post office. Down at the port, yes, down at the port, we have the scanner too that we're using to detect drugs, but the canine too is very effective down at the port.
Chief, what percentage of the incoming containers are inspected by your department?
Let me give you a breakdown of the container. On a daily basis, of the inspection process down at the port, the supervisor that's handling the inspection process at the port will provide an overview of how many containers that's coming in per month. And based on that total, on a monthly basis, a total of 181 containers will be physically inspected on a monthly basis. And then you have to understand that's a physical inspection that's going to be conducted. That's where the containers dropped on the ground, opened up, and 100% inspection is conducted on this containers. In addition to that, the X-ray team would also do their inspection, and their average inspection on a monthly basis, for example, is on a given day, the X-ray team can average up to 80 containers, scan 80 containers down at the port, and that is broken down from both domestic and foreign, to include vehicles, break bulk cargoes that are being released throughout our CFS stations. And so those are the type of inspections that are conducted on a daily basis.
So what percentage of that is it of the total number of containers that come in? Is it like 5% of the total?
I would say that of the total containers, I'm looking at 10%.
10%?
10%. Yes.
Yeah, just to go
and
back.
We average probably 2,800 containers a month.
And that's combined physical inspection and X-ray?
No, physical inspection is 10%.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, we do screening of containers too, the back scanner, conduct the inspections, and we also have inspection at the CFS station. It's the container freight station that we have an agreement with the freight forwarders, and we have our people moving out to this respective areas, and they conduct inspection throughout these facilities.
Yeah, and again, you, I don't think I got an answer regarding the last time the canine dogs were down there, the drug detecting dogs, sniffing dogs, were down at the port prior to this operation this week.
I don't have the specific day, but I'm pretty sure that the canine was down there sometimes this month. Because they do make requests and they go down. But again, my priority on the canine is right now I'm focused on the post office, because that's where information and that's where the evidence that I have before me that drugs is moving in through the postal system.
Chief, you know, there was the Mark Mayo drug trial that just concluded yesterday, but they played a snippet of FBI agent interrogating Mr. Mayo, and he had asked Mr. Mayo at one time, "Who do you know at the port?" So while we haven't had any seizures of drugs at the port in a number of years, it seems like the federal authorities believe that drugs are coming in through the port. I mean, I'm just saying that they're asking people, who do you know at the port? So to me, that means that they know something that maybe we don't. So how do you kind of respond to that, Chief? Because it just seems unbelievable that...
Well, let me say this, okay. That I've been here 2 years. I've been collaborating with my counterparts. I have DEA with me that I've been meeting on a regular basis to give an update on some of the activities that are going through with respect to narcotic and addiction. I've met with ICE, with the U.S. Border Patrol, and I've been working with them in providing me, is there any type of activities that I should know down at the port, and the answer that I get from both these agencies that drugs are coming into the post office. That's the information that we have, and I can show you that yes, drugs is coming into the post office because I have the evidence to show.
So how much drugs is coming in through the airport?
Right now, based on our inception, I can only say that 90% of all the meth that are coming in through the post office. Mm-hmm. The other percentage is at cargo and some at the airport.
Mm-hmm. Can you say like they're coming from California or
Las Vegas?
Or
where's it coming from when it comes in through the mail, Chief? What is it coming from the States?
Domestic. It's coming in from the U.S. And if you understand, let me just give you an overview. We don't have the authority to inspect domestic parcels. Right. We have authority to inspect international cargo, but not domestic mail that's coming in. The way we do our inspection at the post office is that we have to coordinate this with the U.S. Postal Inspector, so that he is present at any time. We're going to screen mail coming in from domestic origin. Mm-hmm. So we're limited on that.
Mm-hmm. So based on all the information you have, all the evidence that's come before you, all the discussions you've had with DEA, ICE, Post Office, how would you describe the drug problem on Guam?
The only thing I can say is that based on our interception, we're seeing that our interception has at the post office have increased by 60% as compared to last year. And so it's coming in to the post office, and you have to understand, if I had my way, I will use my K9 team to screen mail at the post office 7 days a week. But I don't have that luxury. We only screen the mail based on the schedule that's provided to us by the U.S. Postal Inspector.
Would you describe it as a pandemic, the drug problem on this island?
Well, I don't have enough information for me to say that it's a pandemic at this time.
Have you ever been advised by Homeland Security, Chief, or whether federal or anybody, that the drugs are coming in at the port?
No.
How about communication with the Coast Guard?
I've worked with the Coast Guard, and they've provided us information and identified shipments that they suspect, and we will adhere to that, but no evidence.
Well, I guess good job, Port.
Yeah, right on. So,
thank you. Let me just say this, that what we need down at the port right now, based on my experience, is that we need to add additional manpower down there. We need to have more presence down at the port, to show the people down there that we're there watching, we're there to do our job, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to deter and detect illicit drugs coming in at the seaport, if there is evidence to show. And with the resources that we have down at the port, I want to commend my officers who are there. I know that they've been requesting for additional manpower, and due to budget shortfalls, we can only do our best with what we have at this point in time. And I'm glad that we had an oversight hearing, because it's very important for our senators to see that, yes, we need resources. This pandemic has really affected my agency's operation. You probably notice the airport, the decline in the flights, and based on the funding source, we are funded under a special fund known as the Customs Passenger Inspection Fee. And if you look at the stats right now, we're averaging maybe 280 passengers a day, as compared to pre-COVID, where we were processing between 48 to 5,000 passengers a day. I'm collecting about maybe approximately $1.2 million a month. And so we're not seeing that. Our budget went from 14.3 million down to 11.4 million for fiscal year 2021. I am facing a shortfall of 2.4 million. And my challenge right now is that by the end of probably second quarter of this fiscal year, that I won't have any funds to pay my obligation here at the agency. And I'm working with the front office, the fiscal team, to include the governor, and they are aware of that. But the bottom line is, if we want to protect our borders, we need the resources, we need the additional manpower that we need to start recruiting now and not wait until the last minute, where our tourism are going to start increasing.
Are you guys making any effort to get more drug sniffing dogs? I keep asking about the dogs because the dogs seem like they're more reliable in detecting drugs, as opposed to the physical inspection and the scanning.
And that's true.
And the scanning.
Yes. And let me share what I'm doing right now. In 2019, when I became director, we only had 2 drug detector dogs. 6 months into my term, I managed to send an officer to training and acquire 1 additional drug detector dog. That makes it 3. Because of COVID, we were supposed to send an additional 2 officers for training last June. But COVID has delayed the process because there was no flights. The training center was closed. And so I found out that within my agency, I had a certified instructor. And so instead of the proposal to send 2 additional dogs, I've decided to select 4 handlers and put them through training so that I can add the additional 4 handlers to the K9 team. And those 4 that have undergone training within the last 3 months are scheduled to complete and be certified by the end of February. Mm-hmm. That's 4 handlers. All I have to do, and the challenge that I have, is that I just need to collaborate with the carriers, because right now they're not allowing the transportation of working dogs. And so that's the challenge that I have, because I cannot go and procure the 4 drug detector dogs that I would like to have in place for the 4 handlers that will be certified, so that they can start working with the dogs. And hopefully that the carriers will lift the ban on and the transportation of working dogs, and I can send my certified trainer to go and pick up 4 drug detector dogs,
so
that I can utilize those.
So it sounds
having
like,
said all that, during the pandemic last year, were any inspections conducted with dogs, with the drug sniffing dogs? Because the port remained 100% open. They are essential. They never shut down during the pandemic. That's
true. Yes, and with the canines that we have, we try to accommodate whatever requests that the port supervisor is requesting. But you have to understand, as I mentioned earlier, even with the 3 handlers, 2 of our handlers are members of the reserve component, and the one was deployed in 2019, just recently got back. The other one is on deployment again and won't be back until probably the latter part of this year.
Okay, so then I guess what I'm asking is, again, how many inspections were done at the port using the drug sniffing dogs? Because he said we couldn't bring dogs in, we got people on deployment, so the port remained open the whole time, it never shut down?
No, the port never shut down, and customs never shut down too. So we
Right.
continued our inspection down at the port.
With,
And as I mentioned,
with the dogs, though.
the canines, with the dogs. I don't have the exact number, but I can get that for you.
Okay.
But Chief, it kind of sounds like you want to get more dogs down there at the
Yeah.
port, right? I mean, I don't know. In my mind, if like we're serious
Yes.
about meth, we should have a whole freaking squad of the drug dogs down there at the port instead of just parading around, acting like nothing's coming in there, when everybody in law enforcement says that things are definitely coming in. Well, except you.
Well, let me tell you something too. That the priority that I've set is that the drugs are coming in at the post office, and we're continuing our efforts to use the canine at the post office. Although there's limited resources, we try and accommodate the needs of the airport at the port at the same time. The resources that we have right now is what we can do to work with respect to the port. My concern, as I mentioned, I have 4 handlers that are going to be certified in February. 2 of those handlers will be stationed down at the port, and will be rotated every 6 months.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Anything else, Chief?
Thank you.
Anything else?
As I mentioned, the only thing I can say is I give kudos to my officers that are down at the port. I know they're in dire need of additional resources, and I'm trying my very, very best to get them that resources. But I also they have to think that this pandemic has really had an impact on the agency's funding,
Right.
and hopefully that I can get through with this. Realizing that the oversight hearing has really provided an opportunity for me to relate to our leaders that, hey, we need to increase the manpower here at the agency in order to protect our people on our island
Right, Chief.
from all this illicit drugs that are coming.
Just to make sure we're on the same page and we're being accurate here, you're saying that you haven't had any seizures at the port, that no drugs are coming in at the port, but then you're also saying that you're severely understaffed.
I didn't say that there's no drugs coming in at the port. I'm saying that we're trying our best. We're trying our best to continue our inspection process, and we're trying our best to get whatever information that we need to intercept any illicit drugs coming in at the port. That's what we need.
And you need the canines.
Yes, definitely.
Right on. Okay.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Thanks,
really
Chief.
appreciate your time.
Feel
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Esther,
Stay safe.
be safe. Happy Valentine's Day to you and the
Thank
wife.
you.
Okay.
Have a nice weekend.
You too.
All right.
Okay.
Make sure we get those numbers.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even know what to. That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Comments are kind of funny here. Let's just read some of these comments before we move on here. Bev Test writes, upon entering your position, you stated that there were drugs coming in at the port, but in the past 2 years, there are no drugs coming through the port. Interesting. He should be in front of the senators prioritizing funds to train drug sniffing dogs and handlers who should be there to randomly check cargo. Scanning is not always effective. Arthur writes in, this guy's part of the problem. He continues, scanning is only one tool. Drug sniffing dogs are more reliable. Scanners only work when the employee knows what to look for. And I don't have faith that they do, given the circumstances. Harvey chimes in, it's impossible that no drugs come in at the port. If the port checks only 10%, a drug smuggler just needs to send multiple shipments, and most will get through. Yeah.
Get info on broken seals of containers without customs presence.
Okay.
Ooh. We got some very smart
Viewers. We have
Right.
actually, I want to give props because we
Okay.
have the smartest viewers, the smartest listeners. They're
Wow.
they're just not easily fooled. So thank you guys for jumping on our comments there. But yeah, I agree. It's actually mind-boggling. But then I know that
But if you're not sending the dog, like you said,
Yeah.
the dogs are really the ones that can sniff
yeah, if you
that
talk to
out,
anybody
you
in
know?
law enforcement, they're like the dogs. You got to send in the dogs. And clearly they're not sending in the dogs. I mean, they did it this week, but it was largely because it was a multi-agency, what do you say, strike
Strike force operation
team or something? Right.
Definitely not Mandania, but yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not Mandania. Yes, Jason?
Did you guys hear that? I saw something in the States that they're starting to train and deploy dogs that can sniff coronavirus.
Wow.
The presence of the infection on people.
Well, maybe that's why they're not sniffing any drugs, because they're sending the wrong dog down there. They're sending like the dog that sniffs